distributing your eggs so fast, saying that then you have a higher chances of successes by minimizing the probability of the failures. I don't know whether I'm answering your question, but I think
any takeaways, US, India versus movie industry, software industry?
No, I think it's pretty same. So I don't even would differentiate it based on the technological aspect. I mean, technology, non-technology, entertainment, or any other industry. I think it's like a business. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you are trying to see that how much of the value you are generating, and as you are taking more risk, your span of doing the value generation or the risk calculation span is little longer, because then when you are small, you want like profit to happen tomorrow. But when you are taking the bigger risk, you are ready to wait and you are ready to fall, and because you have that capability that you have created, which can accommodate or absorb some of the shocks that you may be getting.
Okay, Abhi, this is building upon the previous question. Now, you had Bio, Imagine, Optra, movie production. What are some of the learnings that you could transfer from the first to the second to the third, and which endured across all of the three? What were the top 2 or 3 learnings that you could carry forward?
So learning, as I said, I mean, it's very important to be very close to the customers. Number one, that customer can be anybody. For film, everybody is a customer because every consumer is a customer. So I need to be close to them. In technology, what are the customer you have? Number 2 is that you create more replicas of yourself in the company. And the third thing is that make sure that your operations are sustainable. Because I think these are the 3 areas probably which I have learned in the first company where I was not geared up for that, but that helped me very easily to transition to the second company. And then the third is like my ramp up time was much faster.
Yeah, I wanted to. Yeah,
sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, sir. You founded Optra Systems first. You have studied all your life in what you talked of image and everything, and after that you formed Devisha Films. So both these are 2 different. How difficult is to get into area which you have not studied actually. So Opera Systems is the thing you had studied everything, you know the detail, and Devisha Films is like you don't know much about it before entering into it. So how difficult it is.
And when you say studied, you mean to say colleges?
Yeah, the education thing.
So as a book, I have not studied it. I have not given any exams and did not get any marks. But at the same point of time, I think without study, it's very difficult to get into the business. Because I was just mentioning that even for the films, I was doing like a study in terms of the older movies and their revenue models. So there are no standard curriculums through which I went through. I mean, if that's what you're referring to. Even for that matter, I have not done any business management as such also. I mean, that's one of the areas that I always feel that I will go and do some my masters in that, sometime understanding and officially from the stalwarts of Harvard somewhere. But I would like to do it in the life. But I think it's all practical knowledge that I gathered, and probably if I would have studied it better in the past, probably my learning curve would have been shorter. But again, more than the education, more than the books, more than the geography, I think my always aspiration was to be an entrepreneur, and come what may, because nobody is going to compare me saying that, right? I mean, Abhijit, you are like, you're taken like 20 years of your life to build a company, somebody else has done in 3 years. I mean, that doesn't make a difference to me, because if I wouldn't have an entrepreneur today, I would be very sad. But now that I'm an entrepreneur, I'm doing like a lot of adventures. I enjoy that. That keeps me awake, and that keeps me happy for the next day as well.
So, does studying business management, do you think it provides advantage?
Oh, absolutely, right. Because see, if you are trying to do something by learning curve, through trial and error, instead of doing that, why to create another wheel, right? I mean, it's like somebody has done it, they already have the scratches, might as well understand from them. And you can actually shorten some of your mistakes or your learning curve. So studying is always the best thing to do it, but it all depends on at what age of yours you are trying to get into that education patterns. But definitely, yeah, I mean, studying it scientifically will always be helpful.
So,
hello sir, I have one question.
I think okay.
Yeah. So before starting a new company, you had some business idea or some intellectual property. So did you patented that before approaching to the ventures, or how was it like? Would like to know.
So earlier I did not, but in the second company I did actually, because that's like the differentiation factor. And it's always better, right? Because having an idea is one thing, as I said, right? I mean, having a patent is second thing. But having a customer believing in your idea and you having a patent of it is an awesome combination. Because then you have a complete control of what you are talking about. You have a customer, you have a knowledge, and it's yours. So people won't have a problem in putting the money on that because that's the same pay. So to answer your questions, yeah, I mean, if you have an idea, if you think that is a sellable idea, it is a revenue generating idea, then might as well patent it first before even talking to somebody. And you don't need to kind of go for a patent filing and getting a patent on that. Even if you have some prior art on that, that idea goes in your name. So that helps you a lot.
I guess you formed your company in 2002, and within I guess 3 years of time, you acquired 2 more companies, right? So, and then, as you said, it took like 6 to 7 years for you to become an entrepreneur than leaving your job. So, while taking such a big decisions, did you have some mentor, or how did you decide that, okay, you want to take such a big steps?
Yeah, so I was not having any mentor, so probably that's one of the downside of my life, that I need to have some mentor so that I can reduce some of the adventures. But apart from that, I think I was so inspired for that somehow. If I really look at back, I was always thinking that even when I was working for TCS in US, I was always thinking that can I just leave this job and start on my own? But then you always say, oh, you're on H1B visa, so hold on. So step back. And then you sometimes say, okay, there is a venture available, but then you say, oh, TCS has signed a bond with you, so you cannot do it. Then you start taking a risk, and then you say, oh, what will happen for the house that your father has taken in India, and you have to pay an EMI for that. So what happens? So you get entangled into that. So I think sometimes that you just open it up, say, come what may happen, I'm jumping, right? I mean, it's like the moment you take that risk of jumping, you will fall safe because you have a basic intelligence, you know what you're doing, and the risk factor is always up to the level, right? I mean, we are not playing a gamble as such. So from all this perspective, I think it's like opening up yourself and believing in self, like jumping, saying that whatever it happens, we'll see what happens later.
So,
Yeah.
Abhi, very, very articulative, descriptions that you've narrated, and that's really good. I had a couple of questions. One I'll ask is, you actually surveyed the Marathi film industry, and obviously there were lots of, failures, more failures than successes. And then you conceptualized a business model, a marketing model that actually was presumably instrumental in converting Deul as a success as against many failures. So can you just tell us a little bit on the landscape of Marathi film industry and what you actually looked at and what what of that you used to convert Deul into a business model as you communicated?
So again, going by the statistical mechanisms and study point that he raised, the study of this industry actually reveals that around 3% of the movies are successful. So, which is a far lesser number compared to even the Hindi movies or the Bollywood movies, where the number is around 11.5 to 12%. Number two, you are actually looking at a model where the contents can be created, can be well positioned. But the question is that how do I distribute it? It's a classical model of any hardware or the distribution challenges that you have. How do I reach to the masses in Maharashtra? How do I make sure that my movie also gets into Baramati and people go and watch that? So I need to have a distribution model. So even the distribution was another challenge. So we took it ourselves, and Devisha Films production as well as distribution, 2 wings I started, and then we also distributed ourselves. Just to give an example, on 23rd of October during Diwali time, or 26th of October during Diwali time, Shah Rukh Khan's Ravan got released. They were releasing with 3,000 shows a day in India. In Maharashtra, he was doing 500 shows a day. Vice versa, if you look at any Marathi movie that got released, just a week before Sachin Pillai's movie got released, they were doing 43 shows per day in Maharashtra. Now look at 43 and 500. They are doing in Maharashtra. So actually you have an advantage of having a Marathi movie, which has to be stronger than Hindi movie actually. But that's only because of that charisma or that the clout that it has. So one of my challenge was that how do I match with that number first? So my movie got actually ready with me by end of September, but I was not ready to release because unless I solved this problem, that how do I get my